Let's look at the Suit of Swords, but through the eyes of compassion. Our guide for today is this beautiful unicorn, and it says, a comforting presence is on the way. But to call in a comforting presence in our lives, we have to be able to be that comfortable presence, comforting presence. We have to be our own loving guide. The Suit of Swords, especially in this Rider-Waite-Smith deck, is presented rather gloomy and doomy. So we will try to find a compassionate way to talk through the element of air. So when you look at the Suit of Swords, please think of the element of air, and please stay neutral to the images, because now we will try to find a way to bring in more compassion to our intellect. I chose the Six of Cups to be our guide, to represent the compassion, because in the sixes there is an element of remembrance, because we have defined ourselves through the experiences we live through. So in the sixes you have understanding for yourself because of the experiences you went through from 1 to 5, and in the 6 you achieved a state of balance, a state of pride, a state of love for yourself, because you know what you can do, and also so you know who you are, because you know who you are not. You have experienced something else, and you know what you have, because you know what you haven't got. Okay, so the state of balance, the Six of Pentacles, or the Six of Discs, is a beautiful representation of the flow of energy of the six, because in the six, in the material realm, the six teaches us that we are rich when we give. So in the Six of Pentacles, you remember the 5. The 5 was a gift of loss, where we found out what doesn't belong to us and what we don't need to carry along anymore. So you can perceive the 5 as you will lose something, but that something belongs to another soul. And in the 6, you have learned to give. Okay, you have learned to, through experience, to recognize what is yours and what belongs to somebody else, and you go through life acquiring material goods, information, love, and you just give away when something needs to be given away. In the 5, you have become an expert on letting go, and in the 6, now you can give away with your heart and with joy. Okay, so let's get back to the 6, which will be our energy of compassion. Okay, because in the cups we will be connecting to our emotional self, our healing energy, and our compassion. So when we remember, the remembrance of water, all that we have felt, all the emotions that we experienced, the emotions and emotional reactions of others that we experienced, we have learned now in the Six of Cups how to choose what to send out into the world. Okay, just like in the 6 of discs, we know what we need to keep and what we need to give away. And in the 6, you can say emotionally we are a very, very balanced person, because we have learned what emotions and what emotional reactions are are adequate to be let out. Okay, because if you look at the 5 of Cups, the 5 of Cups is an emotional chaos, and we might have been putting out into the world everything that just flowed through our emotional body, and in return we got that response from the people around us. So we experienced the whole spectrum of emotions, and we have learned in the 6th to be in balance and to give and to receive that which we want to give, and in accordance that which we want to receive. We are opening ourselves up to receive that which we give. Okay, so the 6, compassion. So, to get back to the Suit of Swords, let's start with the Ace. So the Ace is detachment. It can be a very cold energy, especially for emotional people, okay? Because here you are emotionally disconnecting from others and from your own emotional reactions, so you can gain perspective, so you can gain a broad perspective of everything that goes around you, but without your own emotional input. So you are trying to be cold and distant. Okay, so with compassion, the Ace of Swords has that gift that you are able to exist in this world no matter what happens, no matter how upsetting some events in this world are to you. Okay, so the gift of the Ace of Swords is peaceful, serene existence. Because you are not in the 2, you will not make any distinction of what you want and what you don't want, what is one way of doing and what is the opposite way of doing, and also what is good and what is bad. Okay, so in the Ace of Swords, when you go into the energy of compassion and emerge as the Ace of Swords, you are able to be a witness to all that arises. And with that, you are safe from your own judgment, and you can emanate unconditional love to those around you. You can imagine this energy, because we all, in the 10, in the 10, we have our own perception, mental construction of what is right, what is wrong, what we want and what we don't want. And if we go through that energy without compassion for others, we might judge them because they are living an opposite experience, a polar experience to the one that we chose. But when we get back to the Ace, we can forget about our own choices that we made with great conviction and with reason, with a purpose. But we can forget about ourselves just witness the choices that we consider wrong, that we consider not valuable, and we can love those souls that are going through life by making those choices. So we just witness and perceive, and that way we keep ourselves in loving energy, in the energy of love. We distance ourselves from even from our own choices, and we put ourselves in the energy that we are free to choose again. So by letting others live their truth, so by letting others to choose something that we would never choose, we give ourselves permission somewhere in the future to make another choice that in this reality that we have conceived for ourselves doesn't make sense. So with this energy, you live and let live. Okay. The two, if you look through the energy of compassion, you will have compassion for yourself when you can't decide. And you will have the respect for a meditative state that can look at two opposites and not judge. You can look at it as polarities of the masculine principle and the feminine principle, of the active and the passive, of the one that initiates and the one that surrenders. And even though those principles, those energies are opposite, are different, you can allow them to coexist and you can appreciate both of them. So with the energy of two, of swords, of air, you can learn appreciation, because in the two you perceive the opposites that create a whole. In the ace, there are no opposites. There just is what is. And you grow when you are able to see the opposites. You, in your core, will have chosen one of the opposites, but you still have the ability to look at both those options, those energies, with the same love, with the same appreciation. So if you have chosen to work with your feminine energy, you will have respect for the masculine energy because it is your counterpart. And in a way, it allows you to exist, to differentiate yourself. So as an advanced two of swords, you will appreciate those that are different because they are giving you a chance to differentiate yourself and to show yourself as a separate entity. And the infamous Three of Swords. Okay. So the Three of Swords represents the foundation of our structure of beliefs. In the three, it is the first foundation, and it is the core belief that will carry you through life. Sometimes we have carried very how to say, core beliefs that have preserved us for some time, through a difficult time, through a traumatic experience. A core belief was formed to keep us safe, but as time went by, that core belief turned our perception of reality into a prison for us. Okay. So, in the Three of Swords, element of air, a core belief we might have formed is that we are not worthy of love, just so we can distance ourselves from people, not to ask for love from people who we perceive as hurting us. So when you go into the Three of Swords with the energy of compassion, find such core beliefs that now are of no longer use to you, but also recognize that they were formed to keep you safe. Okay. They were formed to create a reality where you can be safe. If the time has come to let go of such core beliefs, if your perception of reality is now a cage to you, a prison, go into the three. Take a look at what you believe about yourself, about the world. Forgive yourself if you feel the need you have to forgive yourself. Then go back to that moment in time and see that you made this choice, you chose this belief from such a place of abundant love. And you allowed yourself to keep yourself safe in any way that you could. These are things that we call negative beliefs, but these are the foundations of reality that needs to be transmuted into something more beneficial to us. So from the 10, we can go into non-judgment, into perceiving, into non-attachment, so we can create another core belief. Okay, so those core beliefs are just outdated, but in their time they were the highest truth, and they were formed from the highest love to find your way in this material reality that you don't understand. Because air and swords are here to bring you understanding. Through air you try to find understanding, and this is the core belief that you formed with the understanding of life that you had at the moment it was formed. So when we get to the 10, let's talk about the 10. So the 10 is the perception of reality that you call truth. This is how you see the world. And when the world doesn't look kind to you, it's time to find a new outlook, and through the eyes of compassion for yourself and for the world, try to find another truth that is more aligned with the experience you have now and with the love you have now. So then, have compassion when you see that you are wrong, when you see that what you consider to be true, you actually don't want to believe anymore. So with compassion, have courage, have great courage, because you will need courage and strength to move from the 10 to the ace. Have courage to say, I was wrong, I want to start again. With compassion, allow yourself to talk a different talk. Allow yourself to know a different knowing, and allow yourself to be someone different. Start again, erase everything. Erase everything. Look at the world again through appreciation of polarities. And now make a core belief that is aligned with your heart and with the experiences you had so far. 5. 5 of Swords is a card that is usually connected to cruelty, because 5 is a very intelligent energy, it's focused energy. And when you don't have the greatest good of others and yourself in mind, it can be destructive energy with no purpose, with no vision, with no reason. So to balance out the 5 of Swords, the 5 of Air, which is a masculine element, you really don't need to go into the feminine element. You can also use your fire. First go into your fire and think, is this of value, what I'm doing? Okay, is the insight I'm providing, are the words that I'm speaking, are they of value? Do they carry my highest truth, what I believe the world should be like? Because the fire also has the drive to bring heavens down to earth, and he needs fire, everything to be aligned, with God's will. And God's will in a feminine way is for us to take care of each other. Compassion. So when you get to the 5 of Swords, and you and your sharp intellect wants to provide insight, connect to your fire and see, are you saying those words so you bring a higher truth and more nobility to the actions of others? And then go into the water and see, will those words bring more connection to the heart of you and the person you are speaking to? Okay, now with compassion, with the 5 of Swords, now you have to be compassionate to yourself if you have spoken any words disconnected from your fire and your water, and even from earth. If you have spoken not connected to earth, it might mean that you were making stuff up, but with your sharp tongue you can convince people of what you want them to be convinced of. So forgive yourself, because air is a very fast energy, very sharp energy. Have compassion if you haven't succeeded to stay grounded, if you haven't succeeded to think of the emotions of others, and if your air was faster than your fire and you said some things that you actually don't believe in. Have compassion for yourself, because it is very important for you not to keep silent. It is very important that if you have hurt another person, that you don't block your energy centers of speech, of voice, because your insight is valuable. Also, don't be discouraged if you speak from the heart, your highest truth, and you don't get a loving reaction. You have to be strong to stay in the truth and keep speaking from the heart. The inconvenient truth of the Five of Swords. Because what does the Five of Swords do? Before you had 4. And this is a foundation, a built structure. It's a built structure on the blueprint of the 3. And when you have built one structure, now you want to rest. You want to preserve. So the energy of the 4 is not to move, not to think anymore. And the danger, if we don't move, that we will become stuck in outdated beliefs, or we might be stuck while the job is not over yet. With the swords, we are looking for truth and understanding. And with the 5, we want to continue building, and we want to see where can we add more insight, more value. So in a way, the 5 needs to look for holes in the 4 so it can fill them up. But if you are resisting the energy of 5, looking for holes in your story might seem disruptive and not helpful. But if we treat each other with compassion, you can see when somebody is coming at you with the 5 into your 4, it wants to fill you up, not destroy you. It wants to show you places you haven't yet looked at. It wants you to move. 5 is time and movement. It wants you to move in terms of your understanding of life. It wants you to move, and it will show you which places you need to move to continue building the book of your knowledge, your opus of the understanding of the world. Let's see. The 6. The 6, you might lose compassion for yourself if you are letting go. Since the swords are masculine energy, you can see them as go-getters, and they want to grab. The swords want to grab more understandings. You will need to learn to let go also of some beliefs that are not outdated, but that you know won't serve you on your road ahead. With the 6, you go and you look for a broader perspective, and you might look at it this way also. With 5, you have focus, and you focus on something, on an idea, maybe on a teaching, and maybe you feel guilty if you want to look at everything that the humankind has brought into existence, the understandings of different cultures, of different ways of life. You need, again, you crave to go back to the two, to be able to just look at what exists without judgment. So in the 6, it's like you're moving away from the desired theme of your focus, and you need to see all the differences. You need to incorporate them into your heart. You need to have understanding of everything that goes around you. You need to be able to look at different theories, and you want to let different theories coexist at the same time. You allow yourself to have an understanding of life, and you allow everybody else to have their own understanding. So at the same time, you give and let go. You give your perspective, but you let go of that perspective so you can take in the perspective of another. Now 7, be compassionate when you try to create the world that you want. With the 7, you might create lies, you might manipulate, but understand that it is your effort to create a perception of reality that will not be hurtful for you. So forgive yourself for the manipulation, forgive yourself for the lies, because it was the only way you thought you could keep yourself safe. Go inside the 7 and find another way to construct your understanding of the world so you are safe and nobody is taken advantage of or lied to. The 8. This is a beautiful energy that the strength to sign a contract, to keep a commitment. In the 8, you are committing to the worldview you created for yourself in the 7. So in the 8, you say, this is it, I'm not backing down, and you tie yourself to a system of belief. You tie yourself down so you can gain the final understanding, to have your final perspective. So have compassion for yourself if you have committed yourself to some false ideas. Have compassion for yourself and allow yourself to release yourself, to negotiate, go back, to negotiate yourself out of the contract you signed. Nothing is fixed in stone with air. The promises you gave, you can't go back on. You just need to give yourself a voice and say, no, I don't want to take part in this anymore. Have compassion for yourself, because at the moment you agreed on something that was the best option for you and the other. the 9. Yes, we are left only with the 9. With the 9, you have to be compassionate for yourself if you can't get your thoughts in order. If your thoughts are flying away, if they are changing form from hurtful to kind, be kind to yourself even if you hear hurtful voices inside your head. Be kind to yourself, use the energy of water, and understand the energy of air. That the air is very fast, unattached, and in a way, it's easy for air not to listen to your heart or anybody because it is so wild and free. So be kind to yourself if your wild and free thoughts take over you, and remember that you can always come back to silence. You can always come back to silence. That was the suit of swords, the element of air. Also a little bit about the 6s and compassion. Enjoy your airy element and be compassionate with your wild, crazy thoughts.